Mmm. Mmm. Mm. Oh my, I didn't see you there. My name is Horace J. Poppycock, author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, To the Boys with Love, a romance novel. Available exclusively at Kroger, Walgreens, and the Nellis Air Force Base Commissary. Chapter 1, Jungkook. We met each other at the AMC on Rainbow. He told me he'd never seen American classic cinema, so I took him to a midnight screening of The Croods 2, Crude Harder. He held my pinky as we lugged our gargantuan sodas and extra large popcorn with extra butter and Reese's Pieces. He told me, "No wonder you're so fat in this country." And I said, "That's America, baby." And he blushed. We traversed the halls where he tripped on the uneven floors, almost face-planting into the Minute Maid crusted sticky floor. But I caught him and all of our snacks right side up, just like that one scene in Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man film. You know the one. Anyway, we finally made our way to theater number 6. It was right across from theater number 9. Nice. We opened the door and walked into the darkness. And let's just say, I don't remember a thing that happened in Croods 2, Crudes Harder. In the haze of love, all I remember was a moment where he had to get up and go to the restroom. His Korean bladder couldn't handle American root beer. He got up and his dongle swiped my face as he stepped on a middle-aged man's crocus-act shoes. The man screamed, "Watch it, bitch!" And he pushed his dongle into the man's cheek even harder. I smiled in satisfaction like Angela Bassett in the Tina Turner movie. You know the one. Several years later, we picked up a copy of The Croods 2, Crude Harder at a Redbox to watch it again. It was just okay. Fuck. Oh, hello, I didn't see you there. I'm Horace J. Poppycock, author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, To the Boys with Love, a romance novel. Available exclusively at a $1.25 store, your child's local scholastic book fair, as well as Walgreens. Chapter 2, Jimin. It was a warm summer day in North Las Vegas. I had to go to the DMV to renew my license. I stood in line with the meth addicts, teen drivers, and baby mamas, fanning myself with Form 27C. I finally made my way to the front of the line, but my boob sweat made its way through my Patagonia hunting vest. I tried to wipe it away because it looked like I was lactating, but my clammy hand to my chest, I looked up, and there he was. He had the sweetest smile, Lisa Frank pink lip gloss on, and ice blue contact lenses that wouldn't stay in place. I couldn't speak. He smiled at my quiet demure and said, "Is that for me?" I shakily handed him Form 27C, and his hand touched mine as he grabbed it. An explosion of lust washed over us. If this were a 90s Capri Sun commercial, we would have both turned into that silver liquid. You know the one. When I came to, he handed me back a stamped form that said, "Denied." I pleaded, "Why? I have all the documents." He simply said, "Next." I was furious. It was only until I was in the parking lot, pacing in frustration, that I realized he denied me on purpose, so that I'd have to come back to his line and see him once more. Oh, I didn't see you there. I'm Horace J. Poppycock, author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, To the Boys with Love, a romance novel. Available exclusively at the Circle K down the street, your local AMC concession stands, and right under your bed. Boo! Just kidding. I'll be reading an excerpt. Chapter 3, J-Hope. My hand glided across the glass case in my local library's special collection room. This particular case held an original copy of William Shakespeare's Taming of the Shrew. I read an excerpt and asked myself, when will someone tame this shrew? I stared at it, face glowing from the illuminated case, when through my deep brown orbs, I saw a figure walking towards me. The case was blinding me, so I couldn't make it out. But as it approached closer, the case illuminated his face. His cheekbones were higher than the rent on an unsubsidized studio in Manhattan, and they glistened like freshly steamed pork buns. He placed his hand on the glass, and they left oil marks. I can tell he had just finished off a family-sized bag of cheese puffs and was saving his orange thumbs for an afternoon snack. "Have you ever read it?" I asked. "Taming of the Shrew?" He looked up at me, and he sort of giggled and said, "I don't read. I only dance." I'd never heard something so poignant. I felt like a French schoolgirl looking at her tutor. Nothing more was said, but our bodies spoke poetry. We danced through the special collections room, knocking into Dickens, Twain, Orwell, and Hemingway. At one point, we started doing the climactic dance from Step Up to the Streets, the part where they dance in the rain. You know the one. He then ripped open my shirt and pressed his fangs into my milk chocolatey flesh. I bent my head back in ecstasy as the tears rolled in reverse towards my hairline. I think I blacked out. When I woke up, he was gone, and so was the copy of Taming of the Shrew, as well as $20 from my wallet. Oh my, I didn't see you there. I'm Horrace J. Poppycock, author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, To the Boys with Love, a romance novel, available here, there, and everywhere. I'll be reading an excerpt. Chapter 4, Gin. It was a cold and rainy October night, and my ankles were swelling from the humidity. Somehow, though, I still managed to squeeze them into my size 14 lime green heelys and rolled my way downtown. I gave the bouncer a high five as I walked into Bazooka Joe's Kitty Palace for my Friday night shift. I stopped at the bar to get a drink to ease my performance anxiety. I noticed a stranger a few seats down in a fedora, Ray-Ban glasses, and a baby fat half jacket. He was drinking a Shirley Temple with extra cherries. Kinda weird, but I let it slide. Benny, the bartender, finally made his way to me and said, "Isn't it your birthday? What are you doing here?" To which I replied, "Birthday candles don't pay you to blow them." I threw back a shot of buttered popcorn flavored 360 vodka and headed backstage. I walked on stage and into the spotlight, dressed in a fishnet one-piece, Lizzie McGuire platform sandals, and glitter from my Malibu Barbie ColourPop makeup set. My song of choice for the night was Jeremiah's Birthday Sex. As I swung around the pole, dazzling the crowd with moves I'd learned from an Expert Village YouTube video, I stopped at a $100 bill being handed to me. It was the oddly dressed stranger from the bar. I squatted down and took the hard-earned money. I held the bill up to the light to check its authenticity, because I don't play by my money. And right above Benjamin Franklin's fat head, he wrote, "Happy birthday, Nay Soleil." I looked back to him, but he was gone. After my shift, I walked out the back door and heeled down the alley. I heard footsteps coming up behind me, and when I turned, there he was, the stranger from the bar. "What do you want from me?" I asked him. "I only want to celebrate you on your special day." He removed his fedora, and there he was, Mr. Worldwide Handsome himself. "What's a dame like you doing in a hellhole like this?" he said as he caressed my cheek. I stared into his mercurial orbs, and we kissed, the rain pouring down on our faces. His strangely plump lips felt like a pillow-top mattress from Bed Bath & Beyond. You know the one. We were soaked down to our socks, but we didn't care. This was the best birthday gift I could have ever received. I'm a fan. I'm Horrace J. Poppycock, author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, To the Boys with Love, a romance novel, available exclusively at Radio Shack, Circuit City, and Mervin's. I'll be reading an excerpt today, Chapter 5, Sugar. It was a sweltering Georgia summer when I took a stroll through my neighborhood park. I was finishing off my Flintstone sherbet push pop when I saw him at the basketball court. He had the disposition of Aubrey Plaza and a lustful disdain for life that you only saw in troubled teens with absent fathers. I walked past the court once or thrice, hoping he'd notice my 5-inch inseam hoochie daddy shorts, but he just kept shooting from the free throw line. It wasn't until I slipped on a banana peel and landed onto the scorching concrete that he rolled his eyes, sighed, and lightly jogged over to help me. I reached out my hand for him to grab it, but he just reached down to pick up the banana peel. He tossed it in the garbage can while shouting, "Kobe!" and walked away, leaving me with a scraped knee and ashy elbows. He's so environmentally conscious. I made my way to my feet and walked over to him and shouted, "Double or nothing." He looked at me like an idiot, but I can tell he was just as entranced as I was. I stole the ball from his hands and began to perform the Radio Disney hit "Get Your Head in the Game." It was magical. I was Corbin Bleu, obviously, and he was that extra that Corbin Bleu had way too much sexual tension with on the set of High School Musical 3, senior year. You know the one. After I finished the routine and nearly had an asthma attack, he touched my chin and pulled me in for the sweetest kiss I had ever experienced. I now understand why they called him Sugar. He tasted of Trix yogurt and Nutri-Grain cinnamon apple granola bars. Score! The High School Musical routine gets them every time. You're my favorite, baby Mochi. Do you know that? Oh my, I didn't see you there. I'm Horrace J. Poppycock, author of the New York Times #1 bestseller, To the Boys with Love, a romance novel. Available exclusively at Borders, on the set of the smash blockbuster hit Grown Ups 2, and your mom's house. We kid, we have our games. I'm going to read an excerpt. Chapter 6, V. There I sat on the hard oak bench in the confession booth, ready to purge myself of everything and everyone I've done these last few days. I've been naughty, I told the priest. I've had 5 loves in 5 days, and I love them each with the burning passion of a red dwarf star ready to implode. My ears rang hot in the confession booth as I waited on bated breath for his response to my repugnant admittance. But there was nothing. I looked through the screen window to the other side of the booth, and the priest wasn't even there. I'd been talking to myself all along. It was just like my last performance in drama club before I graduated high school. Anyway, as I stepped out and began to walk towards the exit, passing through rainbow refractions of light from the stained glass windows, I reached for the handle on the door and heard gentle piddles of water. I turned and softly uttered, "God?" No answer. The puddles continued. I followed them, and they led me towards the baptism pool. As I approached, I heard the gentle hum of permission to dance. There was only one person with a voice so sweet and supple. I cleared my throat to get their attention, and like Ariel in that one rock scene from Walt Disney's The Little Mermaid, you know the one, Tae Young emerged from the blessed pool in a drenched, flowing white shirt and tight black leather pants that looked as though they were fused with his skin. It was chilly in this holy place, and his peach-colored gumdrops were hard and perked up in his blouse, but I dared not look for the fear of being smited where I stood. I kept my sights on his vibrant orbs out of respect for the gentleman. Just then, the gentle siren reached out his hand for me and asked, "Do you trust me?" I don't know what it was, but I was possessed and almost involuntarily responded, "Yes, yes, please God, yes. I trust you with every fiber in my loin and my body." And he took me by the hand, and we submerged ourselves back into the water. 2 mermaids spiraling into forever within this blessed lake. This is my religion. I saw you there. You may be asking yourself, why is Horrace J. Poppycock dressed so Caucasian right now? Well, it's because it's the exciting conclusion of To the Boys with Love, the New York Times #1 best-selling romance novel by me, Horrace J. Poppycock. Available exclusively at Wish.com, Wiener Schnitzel, and the yard sale down the street. You know the one. Chapter 7, RM. I was his Uber driver. I picked him up at the McCarran International Airport and asked where he was going. He replied in a jet-lagged fog, "Where dreams are made." I knew exactly what he was looking for. We traversed down the strip as he poked his head out of the window like a puppy on his first car ride. Finally, we pulled into the parking lot of the Boulevard Mall. We entered and were immediately hit with the scent of sandalwood, corn dogs, and dust from the fake plants. He had never experienced such wonder as this. He twirled around a mannequin out front of a Zoomies like Gene Kelly in the MGM classic Singin' in the Rain. You know the one. He experienced euphoria in the Hot Topic and elation at the Lens Crafters, but nothing compared to the speechless guffaw he moaned when he reached the food court. It was truly the apex of American cuisine. He wanted to try everything, but I told him he had to slow down lest he hurt his tum-tum. We landed on a fine dining establishment called Pizza in Pizza. We ordered garlic knots, hot wings, and Alfredo pizza. We fed each other in utter exhilaration. After 6.5 minutes of pure bliss, Rat Monster touched a garlic knot smeared in Alfredo sauce to my lips and froze. His eyes were fixed on a far-off sight in terror. It was as if he'd seen a ghost. Then his eyes shifted to another direction as if he'd seen some other phantom. Concerned, I turned around to see my worst nightmare. Sugar emerged from the Christie's candy shop. Jimin strutted out of the Applebee's. V rushed from Cafe Gelato. Jin unassumingly wandered from the John's Incredible Pizza. J-Hope backflipped into a pirouette out of the IHOP, and Jungkook glided from the Chinese Gourmet Express. "What is this?" I asked Rat Monster. "Is this a setup?" He couldn't look at me, tears welling in his galactic orbs, and he said in a quivering low timbre, "It's not a setup, my dear. It's your destiny. You see, we're BTS, international K-pop boy band sensation. We can't cause a divide amongst ourselves by fighting for the same brilliant, talented supernova that is you." Before I could speak, he put a delicate Alfredo sauce-covered finger to my lips. The boys surrounded me and in unison said, "So you must choose. Which of the boys will you truly love?" My heart sank to my pelvis, and my deep chocolate orbs floated to the skylight as I cried out, "Not again." I'm Horrace J. Poppycock, and this has been To the Boys with Love by me, Horrace J.